Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 2 of Office Hours Unscripted. My name is Adam.
I'm Gabe.
And today we're going to talk about a topic that's very near and dear to my heart, and I think Gabe's as well, hopefully. But it is goal setting. And I think a lot of people, they think about goal setting as, hey, like, how do I set a good goal? How do I set a goal that I think is realistic? And how do I achieve it, right? That's all part of the equation, but I think today we're going to go a click deeper. We're going to say, what does a realistic goal actually mean, and how is that applicable to different people? And then when you go to achieve a goal, that's going to look very different for a lot of different people. So what are some of the elements? What are some of the disruptors that are going to get in the way as we start to go through that? Gabe, do you have anything to start?
Yeah, I can definitely start it out. I thought about this a lot on the way here before we recorded. I thought about, for me, what were the ways I knew that people set their goals in the new year? Mm-hmm. Right, we talked about last episode that this episode's perfect because it's New Year. Mm-hmm. And I've heard all of them. And you probably have too. I've heard just going as simple as like laundry listing. That's actually a tradition in my family in the new year where we write our goals, like 5 to 10 of them, on a piece of brown paper, and you keep it throughout the year until the new year where you burn it. Mm-hmm. And then just repeat the process. But that's obviously, we probably both agree, not the best way to set your goals, because if you don't have that paper on you or you keep it somewhere stashed, you're just never going to look at it again. I know friends who do bingo boards, right? I know friends who keep sticky notes on their wall, or they change it as their goals change. So I guess maybe let's start there of what's worked for us in terms of setting our goals. And I can start. I think in the new year, I wanted to actually try an element of all of them. In college, when I was setting my goals, I actually categorized them by like theme. So I had like professional goals, personal goals, social goals, maybe like leisure, I'll call them leisure goals, et cetera, et cetera. I think I want to reintroduce some of that into my life now because it worked back then. Don't know if it'll work now. But I also want to have some sense of maybe I need reminders for myself, whether they're on my phone, whether they're on my wall in a Post-it note version. And then for the goals that I don't want to take so seriously, because maybe something I'll talk about later in the episode, I don't think all your goals should be really serious. Maybe doing something like of a bingo board and like crossing it off as I go, taking some inspiration from my friends. Have you done any of that?
So I think I like the, what is your laundry listing? Is that the term
laundry listing is the easiest.
I think, in my opinion, it's how do you like brainstorm the right goal, right?
Yeah, that's a good way.
And I think, at least for me, a lot of the time when I go to set goals, I go, okay, like what is the goal? So, you look at it, I think leisure is a good one. Like I have goals to visit, 30 different countries, Austria, Japan, South Korea, like the list goes on, right? Now, are those realistic? Yes, but then I start to get into the next portion of like dictating what is the timeline and what is the horizon in which I'm going to go and complete those goals, right? And I think once you start to break that down, whether you're bucketing into the themes or you're going to try and say like what's the timeline, they all kind of like come together and merge at some point. And at least one of the things that I start to think through is like, okay, let's say you're an entrepreneur and you're like, oh, I want to start a coffee shop, right? Okay, start a coffee shop. I think it's a super easy goal to say, in my first year, I'm going to make $500,000 in revenue. A lot of people might look at the number and they're like, hold on. $500,000.
You're not making that.
That's a lot of money. But we have to think about what we're trying to achieve. $500,000 in revenue, not profit, not gross margins, just revenue. Are you able to sell $500,000 worth of your coffee product? You break that out over the course of the year, it starts to become very achievable, right? I mean, half of the year, that's $250,000. What? Break it down another 6. Like we're getting to like what, $60K a month? That's per day, $2,000 in sales. You sell a cup of coffee at $10 cup of coffee, 200 cups of coffee. You make it every day. You make it, right? So I think as you start to go through that, like you break it down and you say, okay, what are the things that I'm going to be able to actually do on a day-to-day basis? And then I think the second part of that actually becomes more relevant to the goal itself is the mindset. How do you keep yourself accountable? A lot of people, we'll go to the gym for a second. A lot of people say, oh, I want to work out 2 times a week. I mean, that's fine. But I think what is more important is the mindset of, you know what? Life's going to get, there's several disruptors, right? Life's going to get in the way. Fatigue, whether that's burnout or stress and all the other things that are going on. And then also like work. There's only but so much time in a day, right? But I think you start to look at these disruptors and you say, okay, what am I going to allow myself to do? And I think I would change it instead of saying, oh, I want to be in the gym 2-3 times a week. Oh, I never skip more than once. If I said I was going to go to the gym on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, I might have had to skip on Thursday, but I'm not skipping Saturday, right? What are your thoughts there?
I think it's I thought about this too, making goals sustainable. And like, I hate to allude to maybe what some people in college will hear about SMART goals. I actually hated that framework. I never used it. But I think when you're talking about, post-grad and you're trying to achieve things, you have to find things where you don't have an excuse to not do them. So I guess we'll go back to the gym point because that's both like a big part of our lives. Let's say you're someone who's at a big 3, big 4, you're at a big tech company. You're already in the mindset. It's a daunting mindset of like, man, I got to fit this in when I'm already squeezed. The way I try to look at it is like, what days do I know I'm going to be squeezed and when do I have more free time? So, there will be people who will say, I'm going to jump the gun and go right to Monday. Like, I'm going to go 5 out of the 7 days, Monday through Friday. And you maybe do that for a week or 2 and it doesn't work out. I say start the other way of like, let me try 1 or 2 days first, maybe make them Saturday, Sunday where I know I'm not on call, I don't have scheduled meetings, and you can try to fit it in there. And then if that starts working for you, trying to fit them into the other days. So I like that mindset of, if I know what's going to cause me to quit, right? What are the things in an ideal world that wouldn't make me quit? And I think the gym's a good example. Or, if you're not even, let's say you're not even working out and you're just like, hey, I want to live a healthier lifestyle. Maybe it's like, setting a specific day to have a cheat meal, like we say. Or maybe it's like, hey, if I have a treat, it's excluded to these certain treats, this specific amount, versus like saying, I'm going to indulge. I'm a big ice cream guy. So for me, when I'm cutting, I kind of have to like, instead of looking at it as, oh, I'm not going to have ice cream at all, maybe I'll do, like, I'm totally okay now with like going into the pint, grabbing 2 scoops every single day, like with a spoon, just 2 scoops and like being like, I'm done and putting it away. So I still feel satisfied and I'm achieving my goal. But that pint of ice cream lasts me so much longer because I'm not like, don't get me wrong, does it take a lot of self-control to like open the pint of Ben and Jerry's? And just start scooping.
We've all been there.
Yeah, right. We've all been there. But for me, it's like, okay, if I know I want to hit the specific weight, or I'm just trying to be healthier for a little while before holidays or something come up, I'm going to say, okay, well, what treat can I give myself every day that's going to keep me satisfied and that continues to let me have ice cream, have other sweet treats, than just saying I'm giving it up totally. So I think sitting on the extremes of goal setting is not always necessary. Don't get me wrong. We both know like sometimes you just got to go for it, right? Like you just have to do anything you can to achieve some certain goal, whether it's academic, professional, personal. But a lot of the time when you set goals like I'm going to go to the gym or I'm going to lose weight or, well, barring some extremes as well. But those goals that most people set, or maybe it's like, hey, I have to save money. You see people on TikTok now, like they do like micro saving or like micro paying loans where it's not, I'm not going to do it at the end of the month. I get paid and I do a little bit amount there. I get paid again, do a little amount there if they get paid weekly. But it's those little habits that stretch into being the same thing you would have done anyways. It's just a lot easier, at least how I look at it.
Yeah, no, I think you said something that really stuck out to me is like, oh, how do I stop myself from like quitting the goal, right? Yeah. And I think that's one thing that I actually want to like refute a little bit because everyone thinks, oh, everyone thinks like don't quit, or like in order to like a successful goal means like I did everything like perfectly to the plan that I set. And honestly, you're gonna fail. Like there are gonna be sub aspects of your longer term or larger goal that you're going to just crap the bed on, right? Like I'm thinking about myself. I'm like, oh, like there was a time I was like, oh, I wanted to make 50K as a net worth, right? Towards the end of the year. And like I made that through a bunch of different ways, but if I think about like month to month, like moving apartments and having to buy furniture and like all the things that seem like setbacks at the time or failures at the time, it's going to happen. That's natural. That's part of how you get towards that end goal that you set for yourself. Like it's not going to be a perfect path. And if it was a perfect path, I don't even think we'd be sitting here talking about it right now. Like it wouldn't be a question, right? I think the second part of it is, okay, if you know you're going to fail, how do you build failure into the plan? How do you build being uncomfortable into the plan. You should be setting goals that not only are realistic, but also feel unattainable. And I think, like, for me, if I go back to the TED Talk, my goal was to give a TED Talk at some point before I passed away in this life, right? Well, I did it much earlier, and it wasn't because I was like, oh, I want to, like, crush this and, like, figure this out and, like, do this as soon as possible. It just so happened that the opportunity came through, and I said, you know what? Now's a better time than anything to give my first TED Talk, and now that goal has expanded to give another one. And honestly, if I look back at it, was that TED Talk what I had in my dream as, like, being the end all be all? No. Do I see it as a failure? Not necessarily, but it's not the initial goal that I had envisioned, right? So I think we also have to, like, be fluid in our goals. We need to be comfortable that the plan that you set today and how you execute tomorrow and what it actually ends up being in the next year or however many months do you have in that timeline, it is not going to be linear.
Of course. Something that you said there about being fluid reminds me of people who know me. I'm a cheesy, corny, like, quote guy. Like, I like the TikTok motivation. I like the Instagram motivation. And
who are you when you're not in the gym?
Yeah, right. Not like David Goggins or something intense like that, but you'll see, like, the some sort of, it's just like some cartoon character, and it's like text over it about, like, some motivation or something about courage, whatever it may be. But talking about, you hear a lot, like, failure teaches you how to succeed. Mm-hmm. And it's so true. And I hate that we harp on the point, because it's, like, not the only goal you can set in life. Yeah. But for us, like, lifting and, like, trying to be healthy through it all is a big thing for us. And I heard someone say the other day, actually someone we knew, talk about how, like, you have to get things wrong first to learn how to do it right for yourself. Yep. Because you'll think, you talked about, was it saving money, right? Like, those things happening of, oh, I have to get my car fixed, or I have to pay my bills, or just or like maybe you have to get some sort of small surgery or pay out of pocket for, the doctor, and you have to pay for that as well. Like, all those things it's not necessarily stopped you from maybe saving at a certain, certain amount at a certain date, but it taught you in the future, what do I have to account for?
For sure.
And that changes regardless, that'll change regardless of the goal. Whether, again, we've talked about losing weight, we've talked about going to the gym more, we've talked about some professional goals. And a lot of the time, it's just like, if you get it wrong, it's better to have the mindset of, like, I know what not to do later, or to look out for later if it can happen again. So I love the part about, like, being fluid with your goals.
Yeah, no, I love that. So let's recap a little bit of what we
talked
about here today.
Takeaways.
Yeah, key takeaways.
What were your takeaways?
I mean, the first one I got from you was, all right, this guy, he has, what is he? The laundry list. I mean, listen, I love it. I love the wording, but the laundry list is the first one of, like, how do you start to brainstorm? How do you start to just, like, put your goals out there? Because I think that is one thing that a lot of people start to struggle with sometimes is, what are the types of goals I should be setting? If you just start to put buckets out there and you start to say, I do have some professional goals, I have some personal goals, I have some travel goals, that list might get long really fast when at first you were like, I don't even know where to start, right? Yeah. I think the second takeaway that I got from you was the piece about the failure is, like, how do we start to learn from the things that we feel as though we're actually not achieving? And I think there's a difference between setting a good goal and setting a realistic goal and then going to achieve them. That's the execution, right? And I think there's going to be a lot of different ways about how we do that. And obviously we talked through a few different examples, whether that's money, whether that's the gym. I think the third part is, how do you then learn from it all? Whether you have achieved the goal and you're looking back into the mirror and you're like, okay, what did it all take to get there? Yeah. Or you haven't achieved the goal yet, and maybe you got to push it out a little bit further, but don't just scrap the goal. It is still a goal. You're still going to be working towards it. But now let's course correct a little bit. What did I learn? What are some of the things that now I think I might do differently as I start to continue towards that goal that I set forth for myself?
Yeah, and I think my one takeaway, which funny enough you say, because I have to remind myself a lot of the time, is, like, staying fluid, staying flexible, adapting, which you talked a little bit about at the end there. But it's truly, like, the goal never stops if it's not finished, right? It's just about you changing it, whatever that means to you. So definitely the takeaway: be fluid, be flexible, adapt if you need to, adapt when you can, and it'll come eventually. So
love that. Well, Once again, thank you all for being here for episode 2 of Office Hours Unscripted. My name's Adam.
My name's Gabe. We don't know what episode 3 is, but I always love saying like, comment, subscribe.
Hey, put it in the comments. What do you guys want episode 3 to be? Let's source from you guys.
See, I love it. I love it.